What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Reddit Volume 9. That's pretty cool, isn't it? We're up to number 9. I got nothing else for you. What actor do you not want to see anymore? I saw Ed Sheeran acting once. I never want to see that again. James Carpool Karaoke Corden. Is he an actor? Oh yeah, he was in Cats. Jared Leto. Dude gives me the creeps. Every Scientology nut, especially Cruise. Tom Cruise is mad. Honestly, Vin Diesel. It's been years since he's acted in a movie other than those god-awful Fast and Furious sequels. He really can't act. Before even reading responses, I could have told you that Ezra Miller, James Corden, and Jared Leto would be popular answers. Not defending them, just funny how predictable Reddit can be. How about you predict yourself some bitches? What is your age without saying your age? When posters of NSFW subreddits are talking about older men, they mean me, but I don't realize it right away. I have episodes of Simpsons on VHS that I personally recorded. When I was young, TV would come off at midnight. Oh, that's right. I don't remember the Kennedy assassination, but I watched Evel Knievel try to jump the Snake River Canyon live. I legally smoked on an airplane. That'd go so hard. Old enough to be alive for the fall of the Berlin Wall, but not enough to remember it. My high school had a smoking section for students. What's the most disappointing movie you paid to see? Cats. I couldn't believe anyone thought that was passable as quality. Yeah, the fact that they got released is crazy. The Fantastic Four remake. The 2015 one is the one I'm talking about. Realized I should have specified that. If it had like an extra hour, it would have been fine. Emoji movie. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Pooh, Blood and Honey. Please don't watch it. Wonder Woman 84. If that's the most disappointing movie you've seen some pretty good movies. Morbius, there it is. Green Lantern starring Ryan Reynolds. Maybe controversial take. It's just a 2008 superhero movie. You can make one thing 15% smaller. What do you choose? The gap between the money in my bank account and $99 trillion. Texas, they'd hate it. Protons, and reality tears itself asunder. He really had me until he used the word asunder. 50 cent, 42.5 cents. The number 81.176470588235229. Nice. My wife's boyfriend's dick. The cost of living. I just want to live by myself, please. Just one of Elon Musk's eyes. What's the most disturbing secret you've discovered about someone close to you? The reason Grandma moved away when my dad was still a baby to a big city more than 3 days away from her family was because she stabbed her stepfather and almost killed him. When I was 17, I dated somebody who told me that when he was drunk, that not only would he probably hit me one day and just wanted me to be prepared, but also used to... Jesus Christ. When my grandfather passed away, we discovered that he did not exist. His name was not in any government registry. He was a normal citizen, paid taxes, had a license and everything. Still to now, no one knows who he really was and why he had a false name. That is crazy. That is insane. What is something that old people love that you don't understand? I'm a window cleaner and have a lot of elderly customers. Over the years, I've found they love to be the first one to tell me one of the neighbors has died. Facebook. Adding your own name to a comment like, great photos, love Mother John. I fucking know it's you, Marie. It shows you when you comment. My grandma and her friends gather every day at someone's door and just sit there until the night comes. That's kind of nice though. There is this weird type of traditional Vietnamese music my parents said that only old people like and they could not stand it either. A decade later and apparently they enjoy it. I await my turn in fear. What is something that young people love that you don't understand? Filming themselves crying. Film random strangers without consent to make fun of them online, all for internet clout. See, my excuse, they posted the comment on Reddit, so they want everybody to look at what they're saying. Their unending need to share everything on social media, including their meals, their children, their partners, everything. I don't know if that's young people or if that's like parents filming every little thing. Like, why are they filming them doing basic stuff like grocery shopping? I don't know, they're vlogging and people want to watch people vlog. I don't understand certain genres of TikTok/YouTube videos. Who is entertained by those videos where it's a robot voice reading out Reddit comments while Subway Surfer is playing on screen? Who is the audience for those videos? Everyone watching this is different because I'm not a robot voice. What is a purchase under $50 you made that has totally changed your life for the better? Once I started using an electric toothbrush, I could never ever return to using a manual one. Nose hair trimmer. Holy hell, what a difference after almost 30 years of never using one. What's the difference like? Speaking as a country girl now living in the city, a white noise machine. The sound of crickets chirping or rain is so much more relaxing and comfortable for me than to sleep to the traffic and sirens. $16 panini press. Making boring lunch sandwich into super tasty awesome lunch sandwich. Portable battery. I love never having to worry about my phone dying. But you also have to carry that thing around all the time, and I feel like unless you got like a purse or like a handbag, then that might not be it. What actor or actress ruins a movie for you? John Wilkes Booth. I just can't get past what he did. Pete Davidson. I know he's only been in few movies, but no thanks. She doesn't ruin, but I audibly groan whenever she shows up. Gwyneth Paltrow. Ezra Miller. Watch the new Flash movie and come back to me. That movie is, well, it's alright. Jared Leto. If I know he's in the movie, I avoid it like the plague. The Rock plays himself wherever he appears. Now it becomes a film about The Rock. Black Adam is probably the only time that he's actually not being The Rock, to be fair. Beyonce. Hollywood is determined to make her a leading lady, but her acting is just awful. I liked her in Austin Powers. What is something that blew your mind once you realized it? Pablo Picasso and Eminem were both alive at the same time. No. That sharks predated the rings of Saturn. That you could legitimately travel at warp speed through the center of galaxies and never run any real risk of hitting a star. That's how spread out space really is. That's insane. Sometimes it's more important to like your colleagues than the actual job. Yeah, that's true. If you have a good work environment, then you're probably going to enjoy going to work. They were colonizing the Wild West the same time as they were building skyscrapers in Manhattan. I always think of them taking place 80 to 100 years apart. Yeah, so do I. What is a weird flex you are proud of? I finished 3 chapsticks in a row without losing them. That's pretty good. I have survived a murder attempt and a run-in with a literal serial killer. If those are like 2 separate events, that's pretty boss. I went viral and got 1 million+ views on YouTube in 2007 for a silly rap about the Nintendo Wii I made out of boredom before that was a common thing and before there were ads on YouTube. I made exactly $0 for it. I walked from Mexico to Canada once. That would be so interesting. I once won gold at the Games Workshop Golden Demon painting competition in the 90s. You flex what you want to flex, but I don't know if that would be my opening line at a bar. What type of human behavior will you never understand? People playing loud music on public transport, having the little Yui boom at the back of the bus. The anger and indignity of being proven wrong but never changing your opinion. People who make insane messes in public restrooms. Jesus, there's a lot of replies to that one. Constantly buying puppies and then dumping them at the shelters because they refuse to properly train/care for them. God, that makes me angry. The inability or unwillingness to try to understand. Talking on speakerphone while in public. People who lie all the time to make themselves seem better or richer. Yeah, by the way, I make like $1 million a month, by the way, just so you know. Help me get there, subscribe. What urban legend needs to die? That it's a felony offense to rip the tag off of your mattress? What? Our 7th grade English teacher, Miss Jackson, was not in Playboy in the 1980s. Seems like a very specific urban legend, but there we go. That if you swallow gum, it takes 7 years to digest. Detoxing treatments. Harmful chemicals are not just going to ooze out of your face and feet if you use that mask. That some guy tried to sneak acid into a festival by taping it to his body and it absorbed through his skin and now he thinks it's a glass of orange juice or a sunflower. Oh, that's where that comes from. Surely everyone's heard like some variation on that. Servers at restaurants. What's the strangest thing someone's asked for? Flavor Flav came into a restaurant I worked at. It was a fancy seafood place. He ordered just a plate of cucumbers for himself. Everyone else at the table ordered normal things. When I was cooking in the military, someone requested a BLT sandwich but with no bacon or tomato. He wasn't kidding. He just wanted bread and lettuce. One night, this guy who was stoned out of his mind ordered a burrito with everything on it. 3 times salsa, sour cream, extra beans, meat, rice, everything. I can barely wrap the burrito. He walks over to the table, takes one bite, and all the burrito content shot out the bottom. He just went, oh no, and started eating it out of his lap and off the table. What's the best way to get over an ex? Biggest thing for me is to let go. Let go of everything you were looking forward to, everything you wanted to do. Jesus, way to bring down the vibe. When my wife left me, I immediately started a woodworking project. I had to stop and cry every hour or so, but at least I had my mind occupied some of the time. Yeah, that's basically it. I could save you this entire video. Just do something. Time. It takes a lot of time. Can't fast forward it. I found the best way to get over an ex was to date myself. Sounds so cheesy, I know, but I spent time rediscovering this new me. I spent a lot of time with my family and friends. I volunteered, I explored my hobbies, took on a few more shifts at work, basically loving on myself. It helped me a lot. I know it sounds very cliche, but just go on about your day, and for the love of every single god, do not stalk their social media. It'll only make it harder for you. What's something you secretly judge people for? What they name their kids. People crying in front of the camera and posting it on social media. The attention seekers on Facebook, they're posting like Google Maps screenshot of the local hospital. Well, that was crazy. How they treat complete strangers out in public. Having their butt crack out. A little slip is fine if you realize immediately and then pull your pants up, but if you're sitting at a table several inches out for an extended period of time, how do you not feel the breeze? Parents who are constantly yelling at their kids. Bad driving, no turn signal, tailgating, treating the drive like a race. Alright, well, you had me until the last one. What animated series will hold a special place in your heart forever? Phineas and Ferb. I'm over 50 and still think there's not a bad episode. I like that implies that he was a kid when Phineas and Ferb was on. Batman the Animated Series and X-Men. Spider-Man 90s show. Man, no one talks about that show enough. That was one of the best shows that I've ever seen. Simpsons first 10 seasons, then a couple of Treehouse after. Cowboy Bebop. Ben 10. Say what you will about certain decisions and stuff, but the universe as a whole has a lot of potential to be expanded upon. BoJack Horseman. After overlooking the show for years, I muscled through and ended up connecting with the characters deeply. It's rough, it's heavy, but it's a very well done show. Wedding photographers of Reddit. What was your they're not gonna last long moment? I'm a videographer and the groom called me a couple days after the wedding. He wanted me to make sure I didn't include any footage of him checking out the women at the wedding. Wedding was on a golf course. Bride had a vision she wanted of her husband driving up in a golf cart to see her for her first look. He got one look at her from the top of the hill and vaulted the car, ran down the hill, picked her up and twirled her around to tell her how gorgeous she was. Once he sat her down, she straightened herself and looked back to us. Okay, I don't want that. Let's do the golf cart now. And she sent him back up. That sucks. Two that immediately come to mind. Groom would not make any eye contact with the bride. So many photos where she is gazing lovingly at him and he's just like 10 yards stare right over the top of her head. Groom's speech included a line about how opposite he is from his bride because her friends have never been to Paris. What is your secret that you can't tell anybody because it will probably ruin your life? I don't give my best at work because I don't care anymore. I used to give them 100% and nobody noticed and only focus on the small mistakes I made. You're not getting appreciated for what you're doing. Why are you slaving away so hard? I find it incredibly difficult to care about absolutely anything. Gotta fake it just enough so that people will interact with me. I have automated the main part of my job and get paid to essentially just show up. That's brilliant. I love that. I left my job at an electronics manufacturing company in 2002, but they continued paying me my full salary, including all incremental raises and annual bonuses until they offered me a very generous redundancy package in 2022, including an £85,000 lump sum contribution to my pension fund. What one mistake ended your career? Built a castle out of Christmas chocolate biscuit boxes in the warehouse of a major retailer on a night shift and proceeded to fall asleep in it for a few hours. That's mad. I like that. I would have loved to have had one of those jobs where it's like, yeah, I just fell asleep. One of the directors wasn't happy with some work I'd done. Started poking me hard with his fingers to punctuate his comments. I punctuated back considerably more forcibly. Nah, that's mad, dog. Stand your ground. Working at a builder's merchants. Customer calls to place order over the phone and wants to give me the card details there and then. I initially refused, but another member of staff vouched for them as they always were regulars. The payment card was later reported as stolen. I got fired and everyone else got to keep their jobs. What is a profession that you have limitless respect for? Hospice workers. I don't know how they do what they do every day. Sewage workers. Also, I don't know how they do what they do every day. Electrical line workers. Those men and women go out in the worst temperatures and conditions at any time of night just to get your houses back in power. Janitors. Those people are unsung heroes. Been one for a long time and I actually enjoy the work. The hardest was working in hospitals. Lots of healthcare places try and pay housekeeping and janitors as little as possible. As a nurse, the hospital housekeepers. It's a thankless, underpaid, miserable job, but it's so critical to patients' health and well-being. I've never even thought about that before. What's the worst possible reply to I'm pregnant? Someone asked me, so you just decided to keep it and see if it works out? What? On purpose? Sometimes something valid. My sister told my parents she was pregnant. My dad said, what'd you go and do that for? My mum started to cry and said, why are you trying to make me seem so old? How my coworker's boyfriend responded, oh, makes sense. You're a bit more of a cunt than usual lately. He's not going to be around to see that kid grow up. My wife is not going to like this. The rest of those suck. We got all the good ones out of the way. What screams I'm insecure? The very first thing I see is comment deleted by user. Not being able to admit when you are wrong and making bullshit explanations or changing the facts to make it sound like you were right all along. Asking for validation through social media sites. It's like when they post a profile picture and they're like, come give it some love, guys. Constantly one-upping others in conversations. Nothing screams insecurity and low emotional intelligence more than someone who calls themselves an alpha. Is everyone kind of just done with that whole alpha and sigma just argument now? The whole thing of being like, oh my god, Andrew Tate alpha suck. Like, is everyone just sick of hearing that now? What paranormal activities have you witnessed? One time when I was home at night by myself, I saw something move out of the corner of my eye. I looked over and the bottom of one half of my scarf that I had draped over the top of my bathroom door was suspended at a 20-degree angle, including the tassels in mid-air. Nah, bitch, get out. Not sure if this is considered paranormal, but when I got fevers as a child, I was always in my fugue and pain-infused state. Hear a man counting in a very deep voice. This is fucked. He would count from 1 and up. As the numbers get larger, the voice gets louder and more intense. It started to get less frequent as I grew older, and now I do not experience it anymore. I brushed it aside as a recurring nightmare until only recently I've learned that my sister would experience the exact same thing when she was younger as well. What name is ruined for you? Adolf? Riley. She ruined my birthday. Alexa. At least in terms of naming a child or pet thanks to the Alexa device. Yeah, that's fair. But also, like, who's called Alexa, you know? Is someone named Milo? I'd have to say Milo. Nearly every Milo that I meet in real life turns out to be a dog. In high school, we had a kid named Dylan and a kid named Dylan, and I'm pretty sure that they were in secret who can be the biggest piece of shit contest, and they tied for first. Harmony. I'm a teacher, and all the harmonies I've had were not at all harmonious. Who names a kid Harmony? Mulva? I love finding the Seinfeld stuff everywhere. People who lived in the 90s and earlier, instead of using a phone before going to bed, what did you do? Just sleep? Read a book, listen to the radio. Oh, true, listen to the radio. I had a Game Boy, one of the original ones you needed a little attachable light to play in the dark. Read. You don't have that much these days. Rearrange your entire bedroom. I had imaginary adventures in my head until I got bored and fell asleep. Yeah, isn't that kind of like just what falling asleep is? Listen to the radio, played Game Boy, stare at campfire and think buffalo, fight mammoth, invent wheel. Watch Snoop Dogg host the ads of Girls Gone Wild. Bro. You get pushed into 2030 for 10 minutes and you get one Google search. What are you looking for? Sports Almanac 2020 to 2030. Reddit. You go back in time to 2023. What would you do? Has George R.R. Martin finished the series? I don't think he's ever finishing that, right? Looking up obituaries for terrible public figures, CEOs, politicians, hate group leaders. 2024 March Madness bracket. Warren Buffett has a standing $1 billion offer to whoever gets a perfect bracket. Imagine having enough money to be like, yeah, I'll give you $1 billion for this. Lottery numbers 2023. Oh, imagine if you just kept getting them. The loudest voice in the room is usually the dumbest. What's an example of this you have seen? Ever been to a family dinner? Finding out everyone on the internet is suddenly an expert in the operation, design, and recovery of deep submergence vehicles. Sat next to a girl in high school algebra who went on a rant about how the moon was fake and man-made. When someone thinks that shouting in English at a person who does not speak English will help them understand more. What they're missing there is saying it slower as well. That'll help it. I arrested a guy once who, when he was searched by police and had his meth taken, shouted, "Give me back my crystal meth." You know the weirdos that shop at town hall meetings? I can't believe they allow people to do that. What are some events in recorded history that are extremely hard to believe but without a doubt actually happened? Halley's Comet appeared in the sky when Mark Twain was born in 1835. The comet moves in a 75 or 76 year orbit, and as it neared Earth once again, Twain said, "I came in with Halley's Comet. I expect to go out with it." Sure enough, he died April 21st, 1910, just as the comet made its next pass. That's crazy. Imagine predicting your death like that. There was a Japanese man called Sumi Yamaguchi who was on his way to work in Hiroshima in 1945 when he saw falling through the sky 2 miles from where he stood what ultimately turned out to be an atomic bomb. Miraculously, he survived. 3 days later, Yamaguchi was called into work to explain what he saw, which he did. At work, as he began to tell the story of what happened, the second bomb dropped. People who cut off their families, what did they do to you? I was 10 years old. I was given to a 34-year-old man to be his third wife. My parents were so happy because it was a great honor to them that I was chosen out of all the girls there to be with a man that was second in charge. My cousin had addiction problems and just burned every bridge in our family. Used to be we'd buy him food and stuff and he needs instead of just giving him money because it'd go straight to more drugs, but he eventually became so toxic we couldn't even do that. Grew up in an explosive and abusive household. When I was finally able to move out, I started slowly distancing myself. Mum went off the deep end, started out accusing me of sleeping with every single person I know. I changed my number and moved to a new state. I did not give anyone, including my brother, my new home address and started receiving cards in the mail from her last year. That's creepy as hell. What success story is widely thought of as a rags to riches, but in reality, they were wealthy individuals all along. Didn't Kylie Jenner get an award for youngest self-made billionaire or something? Yeah, everyone complained about that like 10 years ago, get over it. Drake, who grew up in a ghetto in Canada, yet could afford to play hockey as a kid, was on TV at 15 because of connections, and his first concert was at the opening for Ice Cube. Jeff Bezos was a hedge fund manager and VP at a banking firm before he founded Amazon. Audrey Drake Graham started from the bottom, now we're here. Bullshit, bitch. You grew up in Forest Hill, one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Toronto. What is a phrase someone says that is an instant red flag? Trust me, I'm not like the others. I can't be near elementary schools within 500 meters. What kind of people are you hanging out with to hear that? Just hung out with a girl last night that I thought might be a potential new friend, but she said she loves fighting with people and pissing them off. People think I'm an asshole because I tell it how it is. Don't hold back and speak my mind. I'm a disruptor. You have to earn my respect. Don't want to be around that person and I don't even know who they are. If you can't handle me at my worst, then you sure as hell don't deserve me at my best. Anything about how much they love Ted Bundy or Dahmer or other serial killers? What is the stupidest thing you've heard someone say that they were 100% serious about? Yeah, bro, it says carbonated because they removed the carbs while standing in line at a drugstore. Best eavesdrop of my life. A professor in college refused to give back our tests because you should know what you did wrong. At age 27, my friend said that he had gotten into a fight with his girlfriend because he knew that his parents didn't have to have sex to conceive him. His mum got pregnant with him because they were married. That is some like Mormon church shit, right? At one of my first jobs as a graphic designer, a client called me into his office and pulled up a photo he took. He then asked me if I could turn it around. No, not rotate it, but turn the viewpoint around. He wanted to see what was behind the camera. You accidentally left your cocaine at the White House. What do you do now? Someone out there has the greatest I did cocaine at the White House story ever. Can you imagine? Make sure the heroin stash in the toilet tank is still there. Start a full-blown investigation into whose cocaine this might be. Wipes nose. Head to the Winchester, grab a pint, and wait for the whole thing to blow over. You move on, man, because it's gone. Just gone. I did not have nasal relations with that powder. Ask for it back. Clearly no repercussions are going to happen at this point, so might as well. What does that even mean? Russia left it there. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If poor people fantasize about winning the lottery, then what do rich people fantasize about? I know a guy who worked for Barbra Streisand, and apparently she was upset that her Picasso wasn't as nice as someone else's. Remember that weird-ass video that Mark Zuckerberg did of him grilling stuff? I imagine they fantasize about being a hardworking middle-class person doing regular stuff just to get by. Or he just likes smoking some meats. I have a friend who is really, really rich. Like, money is not an issue rich. I asked him one day jokingly, "Lol, mate, what do you want for your birthday? We are legit giving up buying you anything." He said, "Nothing, mate. Just come over to my birthday party and I'll be really happy." See, those are nice rich people. What's an addiction that people often overlook? Online shopping, Afterpay. Outrage is an addiction. Some people seek it out, actively searching for a reason to hate their neighbors just so that they can get their hit of dopamine. Social media addiction. I always laughed at the idea of video game addiction. It sounded so overblown until I met a guy who honestly defined it for me. He quit his job and now just lives at home with his mum, mooching off her to sit in his room and play games for close to 16 hours a day. Yeah, that is a very real thing. When my depression is bad, I'd say sleep. It's a free, safe way to escape, but it ultimately feeds the depression, becoming a bad cycle. Staying up late for no reason, then because you're afraid to miss out on anything. What is the dumbest thing you have pretended to be interested in because you wanted to date somebody? Started playing guitar to impress a girl, got into guitar and kind of lost interest in the girl. Yeah, I feel like that's how it goes. I lied and said I had experience in journalism when I'd actually only taken one class in college. Our first date, he took me to report on a local clash between police and citizens, and I got tear gassed and robbed. going antiquing. Now we're married and we go every weekend. Help. They got some cool old games at some of those antique shops. Learned to play Magic the Gathering in middle school because I had a huge crush on one of the guys who played at lunch every day. That is a wholly unique sentence. If one of your friends had an I know a guy moment and then called you, what would they be calling you for? I'm a lawyer. I get that call 5 times a day. I work on a farm and can access ungodly amounts of fresh fruit. When does that come in handy? I was a tech genius to my grandma. Been a running joke at several of my jobs that if you need a random thing, I probably have it in my bag. I generally carry a bike messenger bag with all the functional things. Tools, sewing kits, first aid snacks, tapes, things to distract your kids, I got you. What kind of life do you leave where you start doing that? My brother called me the other day to settle a dispute with his wife. He wanted to know how fountains in ancient Rome work. Apparently I'm the ancient Rome fountain guy. I have a pickup truck and I'm happy to help people move stuff. Yeah, if anyone got a van, there they go. What animal has a terrible reputation, but in reality is not bad at all? Vultures, basically nature's trash collector. Rhinos, actually pretty gentle for their size. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to go anywhere near a rhino. Daddy long-legged spiders. They're harmless, but they feel like they'll be crawling all over my soul. I know that they're harmless, I just don't want to touch them. Black cats. One of the oldest superstitions is a black cat is evil and will bring on bad luck. Apparently domesticated rats are intelligent, cuddly, and playful among having other good pet qualities. What? That's so weird. What's the best example of it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it? There's a professor of chemical engineering in my uni. He's internationally acclaimed, has a very successful lab. A few weeks ago, he was caught fucking his dog outside the restrooms of a state park. And they link an article, let's go. Dude I worked with had 30 years in our trade. Other people from other companies would call him for advice. He was a master of his craft, and he was Ned Flanders nice. He was fired for downloading child porn on his work computer. A lot of it. At my old company, we produce consumer goods and license lots of high-end pop culture brands. On a call with a team representing a very popular and iconic space movie franchise owned by the Mouse, one of our senior partners was sitting through a call on rights or sales numbers or whatever with like 20 people. Thought he was on mute and he said something to the effect of, how much longer do we have to listen to these obese idiot jerk himself off talking about this BS anyhow? Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. Very cool. We hit 3,000 subs during this, so that was pretty cool. So thank you very much for that. I'll see you later. Watch another video. Okay, bye.